When the doctors finally spoke the words she had prayed never to hear, Elena felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Her 4-year-old daughter, Lily, the little girl who laughed like sunshine and held her hand with such trust, needed an immediate bone marrow transplant, and the chances of finding a match were desperately slim. Elena's throat tightened as she forced herself to stay calm in front of Lily, whose tiny body looked even smaller beneath the hospital blankets, her dark curls sticking to her forehead as she slept. The doctor explained gently that they had searched all possible donors in the registry, and only one name had matched perfectly: Alexander Hale, the billionaire CEO, philanthropist, and the same man who had once promised Elena forever before vanishing from her life without explanation, leaving her heart in ruins. Elena staggered back, memories rushing like waves pulling her under, remembering the nights she cried alone, remembering how she had found out she was pregnant after he disappeared, how she raised Lily without ever telling him the truth, choosing heartbreak over letting her child live in a world of Hales, power struggles, and corporate wars. But now fate had cornered her. Only Alexander's marrow could save Lily's life, and whether she liked it or not, she had to face him after 5 years of silence. She spent the night pacing the cold hospital corridors, rehearsing what she would say, her mind torn between fear, anger, and the fierce love of a mother ready to crawl through fire if that's what it took to save her daughter. By morning, she stood in front of the enormous glass doors of Hale Industries, her hands trembling as she approached the receptionist, who recognized her instantly. Elena had once worked here as a junior architectural designer. The receptionist hesitated but made the call. Minutes later, 2 security guards escorted Elena to the top floor, where Alexander Hale, the man she once loved like life itself, was already waiting for her, standing tall behind his polished office desk with the same piercing eyes she used to drown in, except now they carried something colder, sharper, like he had built walls around his soul. His gaze flicked to her stomach as if expecting to find the girl he had left behind, but Elena kept her back straight and said with all the strength she had left that she needed a favor, a huge one, and that it was not for herself. Alexander leaned forward, his expression unreadable, and asked what kind of favor could bring her to him after all these years. Her voice cracked, but she spoke. "My daughter, she needs a bone marrow transplant. You're the only match." And she watched Alexander freeze, his jaw tightening as if the truth hit him like a blow. After a long, suffocating silence, he asked how old the child was, his voice low, and when Elena whispered 4, something flickered in his eyes: fear, hope, regret. She couldn't tell. He stood abruptly, demanding why she never told him he had a daughter, but Elena swallowed the rising storm inside her and said quietly that she had tried to protect Lily, and that she didn't come for blame or forgiveness, only help. Alexander walked away from her to the massive windows overlooking the city, his silhouette framed by the morning sun, and for a moment, he looked like the lonely king of a cold empire, trapped in a crown forged by expectations and secrets. Finally, he agreed, but not without conditions. He wanted to see Lily, to know her, to understand the years he had lost. Elena refused at first, fearing he would take Lily away, but the doctor's words echoed in her head: she's running out of time. So with a heavy heart, she agreed. Hours later, Alexander walked into Lily's hospital room, his steps slow and almost hesitant, and when he saw the child sleeping with her tiny hand wrapped around her mother's shirt, his breath caught. She looked just like Elena, but her eyes, when they fluttered open, were unmistakably his. Lily blinked curiously at the stranger, then offered him her stuffed rabbit, the one she gave only to people she trusted. Alexander's tough facade shattered in that instant, his eyes softening as he knelt beside her, introducing himself as a friend, his voice cracking ever so slightly. Elena watched from the corner, torn between the pain of the past and the present she could no longer escape. Over the next days, Alexander stayed close, meeting with doctors, signing papers, moving mountains to speed the process, and slowly, Elena began to see fragments of the men she had once loved, the men who used to hold her hand as if she were the only person who existed in his world. But she also knew better than to trust too easily. Still, late one night, as they sat outside Lily's room, Alexander confessed the truth. 5 years ago, his father had forced him to leave Elena, threatening to destroy her career, her family, everything she had, because the Hales believed she wasn't good enough. And when Alexander refused, he was sent overseas and stripped of everything until he agreed to cut ties. Elena's heart cracked open again, but this time with the sting of betrayal layered upon betrayal. And she cried silently, not for herself, but for the years her daughter was denied a father who never truly wanted to leave. Before she could speak, the doctor rushed out with urgent news. Lily's condition had worsened, and they needed to perform the transplant immediately. Alexander squeezed Elena's hand, whispering, "I'll do anything to save her," and for the first time, Elena saw sincerity so raw in his eyes that she couldn't look away. The surgery was long and brutal, but after hours that felt like an eternity, the doctor finally emerged with relief in his eyes. Lily had responded well, and the marrow had taken, Elena collapsed into Alexander's arms, sobbing from sheer exhaustion and gratitude. In the days that followed, a fragile peace formed between them as they both stayed at Lily's side, Alexander reading stories to her, helping her draw pictures, learning how to braid her hair badly but trying anyway. Elena watched this transformation with a guarded heart, knowing that forgiveness was a road she wasn't sure she could walk yet, but also knowing that their daughter connected them in a way that could never be undone. And when Lily finally stood again, small and brave, holding both their hands, Elena realized that some wounds may never fully heal, but some miracles were worth the pain. As they walked out of the hospital together, three shadows merging into one, Elena didn't know what the future held with Alexander, but she knew one thing: her daughter had a second chance at life, and maybe, just maybe, so did they. And to the viewers watching this story unfold, remember, life is unpredictable, love is messy, and sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones fate brings back for a purpose. So if this emotional journey touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories that inspire, heal, and keep you coming back for more.